back. Well, today we are talking kids with Dr. Caitlynn Iddings, and school's back in session, so are after-school sports. And we're talking about it all week. This heat has really been ramping up.
Yeah.
So when you're out there practicing, what are some good tips just to make sure you're taking care of yourself?
Yeah, for sure. So I love that Douglas is doing their football practice like right now. So I mean, that's one of the big things for coaches, is to realize that this can be pretty dangerous for these kids, especially kids that are, having to wear a lot of equipment, like football players and stuff like that, or endurance athletes, like cross country is in session right now, soccer, knowing that, trying to do practices or even games, either pushing them back later to where the heat index is lower, or trying to do them really early in the morning to kind of get those out of the way. Canceling practice if it's indicated.
Really.
That can be sort of a harder one for high school sports, but all these little 4- and 5-year-old t-ball players, because younger kids really are higher risk for having sports related illnesses, making sure we're canceling practice. I mean, canceling a 4-year-old practice once isn't a big deal, right? Hydration, of course, is really important. Making sure that you have access to cold water, but also if it's going to be a practice that's longer than really 30 to 45 minutes in this amount of heat, making sure there's electrolytes available. Taking water breaks every 15 minutes is what's recommended. So, and allowing those who are in heavy equipment like football pads and helmets to take off their gear every 15 minutes to kind of drink, maybe get a little bit of water on them. The issue with the humidity being this high is you don't sweat as much, or you don't feel like you are, right? It's kind of holding that heat in because the air is so moist. So making sure that there's access to shade and water every 15 minutes, electrolytes if it's going to be prolonged, wearing light clothing if you can, if it's not like you have to be in your pads, letting kids practice without pads and stuff. All those things are going to be really important in keeping these kids safe.
Yeah, and so when it comes to students themselves, throughout the school day, are there things they can do to kind of prepare for practice if it's going to be in the afternoon during these hot times? Absolutely.
Hydration and nutrition are going to be really important, making sure that they're trying to do protein-packed snacks. Sometimes those heavy carbs can be good for short bursts of energy, but making sure that they have something that can kind of sustain their ability to, because their heart rates tend to be a little more elevated, so they have to kind of be able to sustain that. And then making sure they are hydrating throughout the day, avoiding caffeine heavy beverages and any of those sports drinks, trying to encourage those a little bit just to get a little extra electrolytes going.
Yeah, and then I feel like a lot of athletes, especially in those grade levels, know you got to listen to your body during practice and during these games and whatnot. Is there signs or things they can kind of listen to when it comes to, hey, I may be experiencing heat exhaustion?
Yeah, so the first thing I say is if you feel like you're no longer sweating, that's a problem, right? That means you're not hydrated. Also, the first sign of sort of heat-related illness that will pop up will be those really bright red flushed cheeks. So if it's like, I'm not sweating anymore, my face feels really hot and red, that's a sign that you need to sit down. If you feel like your heart is beating faster than normal, I mean, when you're running cross country, your heart's beating fast, but if you're like, this is a little faster than normal, a lot of those kids do have heart rate monitors where they kind of know their heart rate target, slow it down, take a break, those sort of things. So paying attention to your heart rate, to kind of the amount you're sweating, to the amount that your skin is sort of flushing, and realizing that, if it's suddenly hard to breathe or my heart's beating faster, I need to tell the coach and sit out and take a break and get some shade.
All right.
Yeah.
Well, Dr. Caitlynn, thank you so much.
Absolutely.
These are really helpful tips, especially as practice is underway this week. Well, hey, we have Good Morning Kentucky. More of it. It's coming up next. Stay close.